Before we want to compute the descriptive statistic, we have to make sure that the variable type is right in our dataset. Otherwise, we might run into problems. This is an important topic, and in my stats consulting, I see often warning messages or errors which are related to the variable types. If the person chooses the wrong variable type, then they somehow get stuck on the way. So I think it's important to tackle that quite early. In R there are many variable types, but I want to present just the 4 most important ones. This is numeric, integer, character and factor. So let's have a look at numeric, which the shortcut in R is num. And these are just decimal numbers like 1.75. Then the second one is the integer, shortcut int. And these are just whole numbers, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and so on. So that's pretty clear. Then we have the character, shortcut. And here I have some example like red or intervention groups. And you can see here we need the quotation mark to indicate this is a name. And the last one are the factors. And also there is no shortcut, it's just factor. And this is the most complicated one, because it's a combination of integer values which do correspond with a set of character values. So you can see here we have maybe the value 1 indicating group 1 or intervention group 1. So in a way 1 or 2 or 3 is not like a normal decimal number. 2 is not more than 1 because it just indicates a group. Or you can have male, female, 1, 2. So you could use characters, but very often I use factors for that. So that means very often I write an integer number, 1, 2, 3 for a factor, but I want that R use it as a character, not as numbers. Like 1, 2, 3 are just like groups or different genders or things like this. So that's why I think it is very important variable type, but it is a little bit more difficult to handle because it has these 2 levels of integer values and character values. In order to demonstrate that, let's make up some numbers. Let's make up a little data set so we can look how that things work. So you can see here I have 4 variables, and the first one is just I have a bunch of numbers. I use the combine function and put them into a new variable. So I just compute a new variable with 5 numbers. For the integers I do something similar. I just have a bunch of whole numbers using the connect function, and then I use another function to say this number should not be numeric but these are integers. So as.integer is the function to change the variable type. Then variable 3, it's about character, and I just need here quotation marks, and you can see I have a letter and even have a number, but this all will be stored as character values. And then I have nearly done the same as for the integers. I just changed the last number that you see a difference. And this time I said, okay, put them now as factors. So treat them as characters, even though I give you integers. And if we run this and then also check for the class, then we can see, yes, the first is numeric, second is integer, third is character, and the fourth is a factor. So if you want to see how that looks like, we just can highlight the variable 1 and then run this, and then we can see how they are stored. You can see the output. That's what we expect. We have first just the numbers, then we have the numbers for the integers, then the characters, and then you can see the output for the factors are different because here we have 2 levels. So on level 1 we have the 5 numbers we want to store, but then there is another level where we store how many times a specific value occurred. So you can see we have 2 times 1, it occurs only 1 time. So if we find that R has not properly read in the variable type in our dataset, we want to change it. I just give you here an example for how to change a numeric variable type into a character type, because we don't have a column or a scale which is called X in our dataset. But just imagine you have X stands for any kind of column you have, and that then we again use the $ and connecting to our data frame, and then we say we want that X in our data frame df should become a character, and then we save it in an object which is called the same name, X in the data frame df, because we want to overwrite the data type. Okay, let's have now here a look at some more examples. The idea is we want to save the integer value from above here and the factors as numeric. We don't want to save the characters as numeric, as this is not possible. We cannot save a name as a number. But the integers we can. So let's do that. So we're just using the function as numeric. So now we have converted the values into numeric, and everything looks good for the integer. So this is what we have, 36118, that's perfect. But something very strange happened with our factor. So we have 1, 2, 3 and 4. So this is very strange what happened. So when you can see, we have 4 different numbers. So we have here 4 different numbers on the top, and R has ordered them. So the lowest is 1, then 3, then 6 and then 9. And now it tells us how many times this level occurred. So we have 2 times comes the lowest level 1, 1 time comes the second level, which is 3, and then 6 and then 9. So this is not what we want. So what do we have to do if we want to transform a factor into numeric? Let's look here below. So we have to rerun it again, because otherwise we would have this output here. So we want to have 36119. And what we are doing now is we have to transform it first into a character, and then the character into numeric. The reason is again because a factor has these 2 levels, so we have to first save it as a character, and then we can easily transform it to numeric. So let's do that. Then you can see now we have the right numbers, 36119, and if we look at the class now then you can see it's also numeric. That's what we expected. The only problem is if you have a data set with lots of variables where you want to change the data type, then this approach is a little tedious. So there is one other solution, which I show you now. So we also have the option in R to change the data types of many variables at the same time. So I don't want to go in all the details, but you can see we're using a function which is called lapply. And the lapply functions, or the apply function family, we will discuss another time. It just means do it like stepwise here, like do it for different kind of columns. So we starting here with our data frame, and you remember the square brackets. So we are saying, okay, we want to have all the rows, but we want to do something for column 1, 2, 3 and 4. And what we want to do is to change them into character types. And then we overwrite that and save it in the same 4 columns. Let's have a look at the structure, and the structure can be seen by the function str. Now we can see we have a data frame, we have 200 rows, 6 variables, and the first 5 of them are numeric, and the last one is an integer. This is just the group, do we learn, do we don't learn in groups, 0 and 1s. Now let's just run this command and see if that is changing. And you can see the first 4 are now character types, then the 5th and the 6th are still the same like before. And then we make another step. Now we say, oh, I want to have all of them as numeric, because that's what I normally want, except for the factors or the characters which I want to keep. And I run this, and I see now all of them are numeric. So using here the lapply function is super efficient. The only thing you have to do is telling R which columns you want to change, and then here say which data set you have, and then here at the end you can use all these functions as numeric, as integer, as character, or as factor.